The sun had just risen when Michael heard the sound that changed everything. A wounded, desperate roar echoing across the African plains. It wasn't the voice of a hunter chasing prey, but of a creature in pain. He stopped, eyes narrowing against the golden light. Somewhere beyond the tall grass, something was fighting for its life. Michael was a wildlife rescuer, a man who had spent years helping injured animals. But that day, something in that cry pulled him in deeper than reason ever could. He walked for miles, heart pounding, boots sinking into the dust. Finally, he saw it, a young lion trapped in a poacher's snare. The wire was twisted tight around the lion's leg, cutting deep into the flesh. The animal tried to stand, then fell again, trembling. Michael froze. One wrong move, and that powerful beast could attack from fear. But when their eyes met, those amber eyes filled not with anger, but with agony. He knew what he had to do. He knelt down slowly and whispered, "Easy, I'm not here to hurt you." His hands shook as he pulled out his knife. Every second stretched endlessly. The lion growled softly, uncertain. Michael kept speaking, voice low and calm despite the fear crawling up his spine. "You're going to be okay, friend. I promise." The wire finally snapped. The lion stumbled backward, eyes still fixed on him. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Dust hung in the air. Then, without warning, the lion turned and disappeared into the grass. Michael sat there, breathing hard, heart heavy with wonder and relief. He didn't know if the lion would survive, but he hoped. That's all he'd ever done. Hope. Weeks passed. The rescue became another entry in his journal, another quiet scar on his heart. But somewhere deep inside, he knew their story wasn't over. 2 years later, Michael returned to the same region, this time for a wildlife documentary. He and his team were filming a pride of lions near the riverbank when the air went still. From behind the trees, a massive lion stepped out, majestic, golden, eyes like burning fire. The ranger beside him whispered, "That's the old male Kovu. He doesn't go near people." But when Michael lifted his camera, the lion stopped, tilted his head slightly. A flicker of recognition lit those eyes. The same fire. Michael's breath caught. Could it really be him? The lion took a step closer. Then another. The rangers tensed, hands on their rifles. Michael raised his hand. "No," he said softly. "He remembers." The lion's gaze locked with his, steady, ancient, fearless. And in that silent space between them, something unspoken passed. The man who had once saved a life was now being recognized by it. The air trembled with the weight of it. And then the lion began to move. The lion moved slowly, each step deliberate, muscles rippling beneath its golden coat. The crew froze, their cameras forgotten, hearts caught between awe and fear. Michael didn't move. He could feel the air thicken, the space between them alive with something ancient, something sacred. Kova stopped just a few feet away, his massive head lowered, eyes locked on a man who had once freed him. Michael could see the faint scar on the lion's leg, the mark left by the snare. It was him. There was no doubt. A single breath escaped Michael's chest. "You made it," he whispered. The lion blinked slowly, as if acknowledging the words. For a heartbeat, the world felt silent. Then, from somewhere deep in the pride, a low growl echoed. The lioness, protective, uncertain. The rest of the pride was watching, waiting for their leader's cue. Kovu turned his head toward them, then back to Michael. His tail flicked once, twice. No aggression, just awareness. Michael took a careful step forward, lowering his camera. "It's okay, old friend," he said softly. "I'm still here." The rangers were whispering now, pleading for him to back away. "He's wild, Michael. You don't know what he'll do." But Michael barely heard them. His eyes were wet, his heart pounding in a rhythm older than language itself. This wasn't danger. It was recognition, a memory living in muscle and soul. Then, something unexpected happened. Kovu leaned forward, slowly, impossibly, and brushed his forehead against Michael's arm. Just once. The gentlest touch from a creature capable of tearing him apart. The kind of moment you don't prepare for. You just live it. The crew gasped, unable to believe what they were seeing. Michael stayed still, afraid that even breathing might shatter the fragile peace. And then, just as quietly, the lion stepped back. His golden eyes lingered one last moment before he turned toward the plains. The pride followed. Within seconds, they were gone. Michael sank to his knees, his body trembling with adrenaline and awe. The dust settled around him, sunlight catching the tears on his face. It felt like standing in the aftermath of a miracle. That night, sitting by the fire, the crew replayed the footage again and again. Each time, the same silence followed. No one spoke for a long while. Finally, one of them murmured, "He remembered you." Michael stared into flames. "Maybe," he said quietly. "Or maybe he just never forgot what kindness feels like." He looked up at the stars and, wondering if somewhere out there, that lion was also watching the same sky. But he didn't know. Something far bigger was still waiting for him, just beyond the horizon. Weeks passed after that unforgettable moment. But Michael couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't truly over. Something inside him, intuition, maybe, kept whispering that their paths would cross one final time. He tried to dismiss it, burying himself in his work, helping with rescues, documenting life on the plains. Yet every time he heard a distant roar, his heart paused. One evening, while driving back from a rescue mission, the horizon burned crimson with the dying sun. The radio crackled to life, rangers calling for help. A herd of buffalo had crossed near the river, and in the chaos, a lion was injured trying to defend his pride. Michael's stomach dropped. He didn't know why, but he felt it. This was him. When he reached the site, night was closing in. The air was thick with the smell of dust and blood. And there, lying near the water's edge, was Kovu. His breathing was shallow, his coat streaked with dirt. The once mighty lion was fading. Michael ran to his side, falling to his knees. Hey, it's me," he whispered, voice shaking. "I'm here." Kovu's eyes opened, slow and heavy. Recognition flickered again. The lion tried to lift his head, but couldn't. Michael pressed his hand gently against the massive chest, feeling the faint rhythm beneath his palm. "You're not alone this time," he said. The rangers arrived moments later, ready with tranquilizers and stretchers, but Michael raised a hand. "No needles," he said softly. "Let him rest." For a long while, there was only silence, the kind that stretches between two souls who have already said all they needed to. The wind carried the scent of rain, distant thunder murmuring over plains. Michael spoke again, quietly, almost to himself. "You were always free. You just let me be a part of your story." The lion's breath slowed, then steadied for a moment, as if finding peace. His eyes met Michael's one last time, and in that gaze was everything words could never hold. Trust, gratitude, and something close to love. Then stillness. Michael sat there long after the others left, the night settling around him. He watched the stars reflect in the quiet river and felt the weight of both loss and wonder. The world had just taken one of its wildest hearts back, but had left behind something eternal. The next morning, when the first light touched the plains, a single lioness appeared on a nearby ridge. She stared down at Michael for a long, silent moment before turning toward the sunrise and roaring, a sound that carried across the land like a farewell. Michael smiled through his tears. "Goodbye, old friend." He stood, watching the horizon glow gold once more. The story of man and a lion had ended, but in truth, it had only changed form, because somewhere, deep in the heart of Africa, the memory of kindness still walked on four paws.